Hello, welcome once again to Marriage Without Tears channel. It's always a privilege for us to meet on a weekly basis, and I appreciate you for always being there for us. Our topic today is simply titled, The 12 Behaviors That Can Destroy Your Marriage. Whether you like it or not, every marriage is bereft with all manner of attitudinal behaviors, all manner of things that can cripple the wheel of the marriage, because we come from diverse settings and backgrounds. So we bring a lot of emotional and spiritual baggage into the union, and certainly at a point in time, there will be pressure points here and there. There are weaknesses and strengths from each of the couple, each of the partners. Therefore, you should expect some things to happen. But the reason why we make productions such as this is that it will give you an understanding of the dynamics at play, so that you look at your own relationship in the light of some of the points we are going to mention here. What are the 12 things, the 12 behavioral patterns that can destroy your marriage? Number one, lying, compulsive lying. Anytime you see a spouse or a relationship where lying becomes the order of the day, it is very difficult for such a relationship to stand the test of time. The reality is that lying is an offshoot of dishonesty. A dishonest heart will never be productive in any form of marital relationship. Therefore, compulsive lying is very, very dangerous to any relationship. Make sure that you uproot it out of your own marriage, because the moment you start a journey of lying, there is a tendency for you to lie the more in order to cover the lies that you have spoken at first. Therefore, desist from lying. Take lying out of your relationship from the word go. If you are being a liar as a single person, the moment you walk into a marital relationship, know it from the bottom of your heart that lying is inexcusable, because you are building a lifetime affair. Therefore, no matter how small the lie may be, it is not welcomed in a marriage relationship. Take lying out of it. That is the number one thing that can ruin any marriage. Whether it is white lie or black lie, take it out of your marriage from the word go. The second thing that can ruin a glorious marriage is our inability or incapacity to look at our physical well-being, at our appearance. Many times that is what ruins most homes, most relationships. The man or the woman becomes, they no longer take care, they no longer pay attention to their physical appearance. I have seen women who become dirtier and dirtier by the day, to the level that when they pass you, the order that follows them is too repulsive for you to understand. I have seen men and women who for whatever reason, they no longer take care of their bodies. You were looking ravishing, you were looking beautiful on that wedding day, or on that day that you met your spouse. Why don't you continue on that culture, on that tradition? Why don't you continue on it? Why don't you continue taking care of yourself? It is necessary that any man or woman in marriage, you must take care of your physical well-being. Brush your teeth first thing in the morning and the last thing you do before you go to bed at night. Make sure that the apparel, the wears, whatever you put on is as clean as ever. It doesn't necessarily need to be new, but let it be very clean. Pay attention to the nutritional value of the food you eat, so that you don't become excessively obese to the point where you become unattractive to your spouse. I have seen marriages turn around for the worse because their partners were no longer appreciating one another physically. It takes physical appreciation in terms of appearance for you to even talk about sexual intercourse. So pay attention to the physical side of your body. Pay attention to your physical well-being. Pay attention to the clothes you wear. Pay attention to how you appear in public as well as how you appear in the private. Very, very important indeed. I have seen homes ruined by it. So take care of that aspect, and your marriage will be glorious unto the very end. The third behavior that can ruin any marriage is bad financial management, or your inability to take care of the financial aspect of your home. I have seen many couples, for whatever reason, they don't pay attention to how the money or the revenue that comes into the house, how it is properly utilized. They become gamblers. They do all manner of things. They shop beyond their needs. They do all manner of things to become wasteful financially. When you run your family into debt, there is no reason to expect joy. There's no reason to expect laughter in that home. Because any marriage that is full of all manner of financial mismanagement, you bring out money that you're supposed to use for something joyful, and somehow your spouse spends it on jewelries or spends it on all manner of irrelevant things. You can never be happy. Every marriage, every couple must come together and sit back and look at how they are going to manage the resources that come into their hands on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. Very, very important indeed. Where this is lacking, the marriage or the relationship will, of course, walk in very, very dirty waters. So, look at that aspect. That's number 3 for you. Then number 4 that you must also look into. Number 4 is what I call excessive criticism and nagging. Anytime you find a spouse that is perpetually and perennially criticizing the other, that marriage cannot stand. Because whether you like it or not, you will have weaknesses. You will have areas where maybe one way or the other you are lacking. There must be lapses in one area or the other. But the capacity to harness your strengths and weaknesses and turn it into, that if you can harness it well, you can create the kind of synergy that will make your marriage productive. But anytime you sit back and all you are talking about is your weaknesses, you are nagging until to the level whereby either the man or the woman, for whatever reason, leaves the home to seek for solace somewhere or to seek for a place where he can sit back and get himself. Lord, if you continue with that marriage will not last. Nagging, excessive criticism, take it out of your marital menu. Take it out right now. If you are still watching this video, before we go into the 5th one, because we are taking it down to number 12, before we go into the 5th one, I want you to take a look at the button, the red button by my side. That is the subscribe button. Subscribe to this channel and get blessed on a weekly basis by our videos and our productions. The 5th thing that can actually kill a marriage, that can actually destroy any relationship, is the spirit of pride. Pride is what makes a man or a woman not capable of saying, I am sorry. Anytime that you have hurt your spouse, and you know that there is a flow of negative energy in that marriage, and somehow you know that you are the source of that negative energy, there is the need for you to wake up from come down from your high horse and talk to your spouse humbly and respectably. Tell that woman, tell that man, I am sorry. I am sorry I have done this and that. I will never do it again. I am sorry. It is just something I didn't know when it happened. Be able to say you're sorry. But pride will make a whole lot of us. We cling on the inside. We sit on our own self-deceit and our own selfishness, because we are too arrogant. We are too prideful to come to our spouses and say we are sorry. Anytime you find a partner that is unable to say I am sorry, then that partner is a serious deficit to the relationship. So I want you to take that to heart. Take that to heart. The capacity to say I'm sorry. It's very, very important. And while we go to the 6th one, what is the 6th behavior that can destroy a marriage? Our inability to understand and to recognize our differences as human beings. Though you are married, though you are working as one as a couple, but you must begin to know from now henceforth that your partner is different from you. She has her own values, her own principles. There are things she knows better than you, or maybe she knows lesser than you. You must begin to understand her individuality. You must begin to understand what makes him tick. You must begin to understand that. Be able to understand that both of you have weaknesses and strengths. Be able to understand how to create synergy between both of you, so that what you have, when you join it together, it will bring a bigger and more wonderful union ahead of you. If you don't recognize that, you will always be at loggerheads with one another. So look at that your wife, look at that your husband. Be able to understand that, of course, she can never be the same with you. She cannot be like you all the time. There is something different about her. And it is that difference that God has brought her into your life to add value, So that what you don't have, she brings that to the table. He brings that to the table, and you two will become wonderful husband and wife indeed. So it's very important for you to notice that. And what is the number 7 that can ruin a marriage? Lack of respect for one another can put a death knell on any relationship. Anytime you find a man or a woman that does not respect the spouse, then something is wrong somewhere. You don't respect your spouse when you go into her private things or begin to search her phones for contact. You begin to search her phones for those, those texts. You begin to check things that you ought not to check. You don't respect that privacy. You must be able to respect one another to the point of trusting one another, to the point of relying onto one another. If you see a man that is crying in his marriage, one of the tears in his heart is that the woman does not respect him, because respect is the oxygen a man needs to actually be a man. Reverence, the capacity to love one another, to respect one another, to respect our individuality, to respect our positions, to respect who we are to one another is very, very important. When I respect you, I cannot speak down on you. I cannot talk down on you. When I respect you, I will honor what the grace of God upon your life. When I respect you, I will sit back and I will listen to you. When I respect you, I will do things because of what you are unto me. When I respect you, I'll be ready to carry you high. I'll be able to be by your side all the time. When I respect you, I will understand the value you place in me, and I will be able to offer myself unto you without stress. When I respect you, respect is very important. May it not be lacking in your own marriage. Very, very important indeed. And of course, number 8 is lack of affection and romance. Marriage is such a place where romance is very important, where affection is very important, where our capacity to understand one another's need is very important. I'm talking of sexual needs, I'm talking of physical needs, I'm talking of spiritual needs, I'm talking of emotional needs. A couple must be in such a way that they are able to look at themselves and they are able to interact and understand the needs of one another, and then they're able to work proactively to fulfill these needs. Very, very important. In marriage, of course, sexual intercourse is very important. If you look at one of the videos I did some time ago on how to create intimacy in a marriage relationship, go back and study that video. I mentioned so many ways of how to build up the romantic side of our relationship, because if the romance is lacking, then there is something mechanical about that marriage. A man must be able to come back, hold his wife in a sensual form, and be able to forget all the tragedies and all the rubbish of the day. Hold one another, be able to stay in one another's warmth, whether it's in bed or out of bed. Romance is a practical aspect of marriage, and no marriage is meant to be reft of it. Please, it's a very important area. If it is lacking in a marriage, then something is wrong somewhere. That is certainly number 8. Number 9, the 9th behavior that may cripple any relationship. Number 9, lack of self-esteem. I have seen people, for whatever reason, they lack self-esteem. They don't trust one another. They are oversensitive. They are insecure. At every point in time, the man is looking, from his shoulders. If another man greets his wife, then he becomes suspicious. If the wife receives a call, he becomes suspicious. I've seen women, the moment their husband receives a call, they are suspicious, especially when it's coming from an opposite gender. I have seen women who don't believe that their husband can have a platonic affair with another woman without any sexual involvement. It comes from a heart that is insecure. It comes from a heart that is possibly oversensitive. So that is a behavior that can ruin the best of marriages. An insecure heart, a sensitive and oversensitive heart, a heart that does not want to understand that there is something about this man or this woman that is to me and for me alone, that no matter wherever he may find himself or wherever she may find herself, that there is an honor, that there's something inside that vessel that will make her stay connected unto me without any problem anywhere, without any challenge. So insensitivity or lack of security or lack of self-esteem is a behavior that can ruin the best of marriages. Point number 10 is simply saying lack of social life. When a couple lacks social life, when they don't have a way of going out there and enjoying themselves, going out on an evening walk, taking a stroll somewhere, visiting friends, taking a trip out of town, leaving the children behind, possibly taking a trip to the village, maybe go overseas if you can afford it. There must be a way where you remove yourself from the hustle and bustle of life and then take your spouse away to a place where you can enjoy yourselves alone once in a while. It will make all the difference. Lack of social life. While you were yet single, you were visiting men's bars, you were doing all manner of things, you can go out with the boys. But now that you are married, how come that you can no longer, experience even something close to such things? You can still do it. All you need to do is to take your spouse away. Take a holiday, take a vacation, get out of the city with her. Enjoy yourself for a season so that when you come back, your marriage is renewed. Anytime you find a spouse that are always into business 24 hours of the day and 12 months of the year, they don't lift their heads to find a way of, getting out there and enjoying themselves. Somehow, the social life is kept away and the marriage begins to deteriorate. No matter whatever setting you are, it does not matter your financial status. If you cannot afford a trip to, overseas, you can at least afford a trip to your village. Find a way of, taking care of the social aspect of your life, because man is a social being, you understand? So it's very, very important. A marriage must not be bereft of that. It must have a way of taking care of the social aspect of it. Now, what is the 11th one? I want you to listen to these two. The 11th one and the 12th one. Very, very important indeed, because I just saved this one. It's like the bottom part of the soup. I saved it for the last. The 11th one is manipulation and control. Anytime you find a man or a woman that is trying to control his spouse, that is trying to dictate what she does, or where he goes, or what he eats, or how, I have found spouses that are very eager to control one another. Marriage is a place to experience, to exercise freedom to exercise your individuality, freedom to be who you are. You don't need to start pretending in marriage. Marriage is where we are expected to bring out the best part of us, so that when we unite together, we are able to, fulfill the call of God upon our lives. We are able to become what God actually brought us together to be. We are able to create the necessary signage that will usher in a life of bliss. The reality is that as a man, a woman, don't try to control your spouse. Don't dictate to her what she does. Don't dictate to her the kind of friend she is. Don't dictate that. You can minister to one another. You can counsel one another. But don't, begin to control one another. Don't control one another. It's not good for effectual relationship. And finally, number 12. What is the 12th behavior? I will have mentioned this as number 1, but I kept it to the 12th one because I wanted you to follow me all the way from number 1 to the 12th one. What is the 12th one? Cheating. What I call infidelity. Anytime that marital unfaithfulness creeps into a marriage, that marriage is in trouble. That marriage is distressed. Infidelity. When you find a spouse that can no longer appreciate, they don't no longer appreciate one another, and they begin to find relevance outside of the marriage. They begin to look for appreciation outside of the marriage. Then something is terribly wrong in the relationship. And I want you to keep that to heart. No matter what it takes, preserve your marriage. Do whatever you can to preserve your marriage. It's very, very important. Because once it happens, there's the tendency for it to become it becomes the linchpin in the marriage. It's very difficult. It's a betrayal of trust. And once that trust is betrayed, to bring it back takes a whole lot of time. I hope you understand what we are saying. If you don't still understand it, you can go to an earlier production we did called Marital Unfaithfulness. Just go down. You will see all we said about marital unfaithfulness. But it's very important. It's a behavior that can cripple the best of marriages. And the reason why we do this is simply for you to check the health of your relationship. in the light of some of the points we have raised, so that you will live a proactive and more blissful family life. And I know that if you are able to pinpoint one or two areas where you are defaulting, there's the tendency for you to sit back and make amends instead of working at cross purposes with one another. I look forward to seeing a better home. I look forward to seeing a better man, a better woman in you. I look forward to seeing you learning a whole lot, and not just learning, but practicalizing some of the things we have mentioned in this channel. And I bless the name of the Lord for your life. Remain blessed. Remain blessed.